Today I'm at the LA waterfront getting my steps in, visiting the Maritime Museum. The museum is in the old Terminal Island ferry terminal. It's a little known fact that there was a Japanese fishing village in Los Angeles. What interests me the most in this exhibit is the photograph that they have of some Terminal Islanders, one of which is my dad right there. In my dad's younger days, he was a commercial fisherman out of Terminal Island. In fact, he was one of the few that returned to fishing after the war and fished into the 1950s. I've always enjoyed the museum's collection of ship models and paintings. I love this model of the USS Long Beach. The Long Beach was actually a ship I got an opportunity to visit. I even got to their Combat Information Center, which was really cool to be in. Need to get a few more steps in, so I think I'll take the grand tour past the torpedo, and we'll head to the end of this little boardwalk, which has a 3-inch dual-purpose gun. And with that, we'll end our day at the waterfront. This morning we're gonna get some steps in at the LA Zoo. It's a real foggy day today. I guess we'll check out the meerkats. One kind of up there keeping watch. Wow, they really have it decked out for zoo lights. What a weird looking croc. So this is an Indian gharial crocodile, which is the first time I've ever seen one like this. So about midway through my walk, I just got totally fascinated by the gorillas. Enjoying watching their behaviors while they're having lunch. All the time making me feel very hungry since I skipped breakfast this morning. So yeah, it makes me think I gotta get a salad or something, just like the gorillas are having. Nothing like being stared at by a young giraffe. And with the screams of the chimpanzees, I'm headed to the exit. Got my steps in, time to go get some lunch. This morning we're gonna get some steps in at the San Diego Air and Space Museum. This little plaza here is actually my favorite part of the museum, mainly because of the way they have the aircraft arranged. A MiG being followed by an F-4 Phantom. The Phantom is supposed to represent the only Navy aces of the Vietnam War, Cunningham and Driscoll. The museum has two 100-year-old original World War I aircraft. This Newport 28, which is above me, and a SPAD 7. Being original aircraft, those two biplanes get to be listed in my journal of aircraft that I keep. I mainly concentrate on military aircraft or government type aircraft like NASA. And yes, I do include space related artifacts. This is the Apollo 9 command module, which tested a lot of the equipment that was used to get on the moon, including the lunar module. The fun part about having a hobby documenting aircraft is that you have an excuse to travel to a lot of places. This morning I'm getting some steps in at the Joaquin Marsh Wildlife Sanctuary, which they call a 300-acre water filter cleverly disguised as a nature preserve. This marsh is kind of an easy walk. The trails are at right angles to each other since these are filtering ponds. It draws in a lot of wetland birds. We have a white-faced ibis and a cinnamon teal hanging out together. We have a blue-winged teal doing some grooming out in the marsh. Well, there's something I didn't expect to see in the winter. A Clarks Grebe raising a chick in the marsh in the winter. That's very unusual. I thought they raised chicks in the summer. Not a bad way to end my last morning walk in 2024. A wide variety of bird species, including an osprey. Yeah, it was a good walk. Getting my steps in this morning at Point Loma in San Diego. Heading up to the lighthouse area. There's a whale watching point up there that I'm gonna see if I can see any blows. Kind of in that whale watching mode this month, so. This is the Point Loma whale watching spot. They have the backbone of a gray whale and a nice little statue of a gray whale and calf. And it actually has some protective sheltering over there for whale watching. Well, no whales in sight, but pretty intense riptide down there. Like it goes out about 200-300 yards. Well, we didn't have any whales today, but we do have a sighting of a Navy dolphin doing some training. Well, the only marine mammal sighting I've had today was a Navy dolphin doing some training. But I did get my steps in, so it's a good walk. Decided to geek out a little and get my steps in at the Plains of Fame Air Museum in Chino, California. One of my more favorite places to explore. Got all kinds of neat things here. Right next to Tom Cruise's P-51 Mustang is one of my favorite aircrafts, the Stearman biplane. I was lucky enough to do some aerobatics in a Stearman a few years ago, and what was cool is we did a maneuver called the Hammerhead, which is basically one of the most awesome maneuvers I've ever been in. We also did some basic loops and rolls. And what's neat about this is it's an open cockpit aircraft, so basically you have the wind in your hair as you're doing these maneuvers. That was a nice way to cap off my walk here at Plains of Fame Air Museum in Chino. I got to see them test fly a P-40. Pretty awesome. Getting my steps in doing some bird watching at Bolsa, Chica with the backdrop of the fires in LA behind me. We're not getting that much smoke yet here in Orange County, but I'm sure it's coming. Now there's actually over a dozen white pelicans in the lagoon right now. I've always enjoyed the elegance of these white pelicans, especially when they're in their synchronized bobbing. Kind of a avian ballet they're doing there. I always like low tide. It's when the shorebirds really get into their foraging mode, like this long-billed curlew. The smoke from the LA fires is starting to slowly encircle the wetlands, so I think this is a good time to end my walk and head back to the car. And I'm at Shelter Island right now, checking out the Osprey nest that's right in front of the hotel here, the Kona Kai. One of the ospreys have gone off the hunt. The other one is still in the nest right there. So getting some steps in and checking out an osprey. Not a bad Sunday. I like the fact that the osprey showed up empty-handed to its mate and flew back out, and instead of hunting, landed on a pole and just sat there goofing off. And the mate had enough of that, got off the nest, went flying toward the other osprey and basically yelled at it to start hunting. And that was all going on with the backdrop of Navy dolphins doing their thing. And I gotta admit, San Diego's an interesting place to get my steps in at. It's been a while since I've been at the San Diego Zoo, so let's see what we can see. Should be pretty simple to get my steps in here. Well, I found the elephant habitat. Now let's see if we can actually find the elephants. The elephant's getting its nails done. That was pretty cool to see them using positive reinforcement with the elephants. It's like, here, let me trim your nails. Here, let me give you some leafy greens because you let me trim your nails. That was really interesting to watch. And of course I had to find the penguins. These are African penguins. And my walk has brought me past the panda exhibit.
Well, there's different variations that they have in different times of year. Winter, they're higher.
Got all my steps in at the zoo, so I'm taking the aerial tramway back. Well, I managed to see the 4 P's that I was planning on seeing during this walk. Penguins, polar bears, pandas, and pachyderms. Not a bad walk. Taking a quick walk on Shelter Island here in San Diego. Get some steps in before I start the rest of my day. Also watching some of the Navy ships going by. The destroyer passing by right now is the USS Gridley, a Burke-class destroyer. I think I'm going to be ticking off these western gulls by walking past them. But hey, I gotta get my steps in. Sorry, gull. We also have some Navy small boats doing some training out here. It's all interesting to watch. And I'm continuing my walk up here at Cabrillo National Monument. Much easier to get my steps in when I'm not breathing in smoke. Looks like we have a C-17 getting ready to take off. It's kind of a different perspective looking down at a big aircraft like that taking off. So this walk's been pretty interesting. And the air's been fresher, which I really do appreciate. So getting my steps in, and probably a lot of stairs in, at the USS Iowa Museum. This is a pretty tall ship, so basically I'm going to have a lot of stairs to go up and down on. So it should be a good workout. And now we're headed toward the bridge. And if you look at the thickness of this wall here, this armor plate, well, wait till you see what the citadel looks like. This is the armored conning tower. And this is the thickness of that, which is pretty outrageous to think about. And this is where they conned the ship during wartime. Passing by the phalanx and the little rangefinder there, we're headed over toward the flying bridge. And I think this actually has the most impressive view of the entire ship. Back during the Cold War, I used to visit the Iowa's sister ship, the USS New Jersey, back when it was home ported in Long Beach. It was really impressive to go on to a working, active battleship at that time. Well, I gotta admit, this is an excellent ship museum. Nice way to end my walk, right next to the mascot and the aft 16-inch gun.